Well, it's interesting because the more I think about it, and especially after what we were just talking about in terms of some of the challenges with tiering, getting people to scale, that is actually the one challenge. Now, the reason why I hesitated even thinking of it as a challenge is because right now Proofpoint's handling it, but I think our execs and the speakers that are participating in those briefings are burning at both ends of the stick a little bit. There are just a ton of meetings that they're taking, where in the past pre-COVID it wasn't happening, right? There was a week somebody might do that was actually on site, that a particular executive would do as part of a briefing. Now we've moved to not a couple a day, sometimes 5, 6 a day. And the reason why it hasn't been a challenge yet from a corporate body perspective is because they're just doing it. But the actual challenge I think is still present, that, we want to avoid some burnout, right? Because there's just so many meetings that are happening. And so I would say that would be the biggest thing is just scalability. There's so much more access now with everything having gone virtual. And one of the ways we're combating that is we're expanding our speakers to different regions, to different levels of the company. We're really building out that panelist base globally, as I mentioned earlier. So that's been a big thing that's helped us. But one of the other things that's interesting that hasn't been as easy, I'll say, is now going back to physical briefings. It's just not as easy to get people out when they have that virtual option to fall back on. A lot of people are comfortable in their own homes. A lot of people, have to go through a more rigorous set of travel requirements even to get out somewhere. So we don't really have a problem at all getting briefings going with customers or even our executives that speak on those. But what's not as easy is actually getting them physically out somewhere, which oftentimes really is just much a better experience. They can experience the entire center as a whole, the entire digital experience. They can, their face to face, as we all know, is very, very valuable in its own right. So that hasn't been as easy, but in terms of just, finding people to do briefings and finding customers that are interested in doing briefings, whether it be virtual or physical, have not had a problem because there's just been so many people and such a flood from doing the virtual side of things. So that's kind of where we're at right now in terms of that challenge. It's an evolving landscape, but I would say, in the future, the biggest thing is just going to be figuring out how to do that scale. And I love that tiered program approach. That's something I'm going to take back to the team and work on. So thank you for that, Jesse.
Sure.